and Gaurav Sawant has been covering that entire summit and joins us live now from China. Gaurav, what an exciting time to be covering an SCO summit. What an iconic summit nonetheless. It will go down in history as one of those most talked about for different reasons, of course. But the question, however, is that how much of this is just optics? How much of it was just messaging? How much of it was just to sort of let Donald Trump know? And how much of it will actually translate into action on ground? Will we be able to look past our differences with China, look past our uncomfort or sort of discomfort with Russia, and actually get down to doing some concrete business?
So let's split this. That's a very interesting question. And, let's split this on two fronts. Let's talk about India-Russia. India-Russia is a time-tested partnership. It's held India in great stead in the past and over several decades. It's a time-tested partnership. So there, when you see the bonhomie between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Russian President Vladimir Putin, the fact that they walked hand in hand, the fact that they hugged, the fact that President Putin waited in his car for Prime Minister Narendra Modi to come, and in the car they had a conversation for about 40 minutes before that 45-minute long bilateral that they had with their respective teams. All of that indicates a very strong partnership, and that goes way beyond optics. Yes, the optics are all there, and yes, the optics are all intended to send out a signal to America that was very clearly trying to browbeat India to pull back from this very warm strategic partnership that India and Russia have, including telling India not to buy oil from Russia. All of that can also be done, could have been done quietly, and when there's quiet diplomacy, solutions are found. But when there's public diplomacy and the manner in which President Trump called India a dead economy at a time when we are growing at 7.8% this fiscal, it just sends out very clear signals that America is trying to bully India. And can you imagine you or I, part of a 1.4 billion strong India getting bullied by America? Clearly not happening, and that message went out from Tianjin today. Of course, government sources had told us, right from the time that America had started bullying India, there is no way India will buckle under American pressure. Remember, India's ambassador to Russia had also made it very clear that's India's sovereign decision and decision of Indian businesses whether they want oil from Russia or they don't want to buy oil from Russia. It depends on prices. Now let's come to China. Very tricky, very difficult, trying to move forward in a situation that you've had multiple false starts and you have been stabbed in the back repeatedly, and yet there is no alternative but to start once again, because in case there will be these 25% additional tariffs from the United States of America, you will have to mitigate that challenge elsewhere. You need fertilizer, you need those tunnel boring machines, you need a market for your surplus, and China needs a market for it. So if there is a win-win in this, keeping your guard up at the borders, because with China, experience has taught India, and Sonal, you know that better than anyone else. This is something that India Today at India Today we've covered for very long. Each time there was a Chinese visit to India or an Indian visit to China, Chinese troops would carry out an incursion at the LAC. So there'd be a dual message from China. Sweet words from China, but unfortunate harsh action on ground. Now all of that is changing. You have your troops on ground and you're starting afresh with both countries wanting to start afresh. Let's see if that works out. If it does, it's win-win for both. If it doesn't, then it's another lesson learned.
It is, but can I throw like a real googly at you, Gaurav, to try and understand this? We know Trump is known to change his mind. We don't know what he'll wake up with tonight, like late night for us, and perhaps there's a change in heart, there's a change in mind. In a situation like that, where does that leave RIC? And are leaders fully aware that the headlines that we are waking up to now could totally flip the next day?
Well, if they do, then India will have laddu in both our hands. And at the same time, it's not as if we are having one relationship at the cost of another relationship. What is India's policy? India's stated policy is multi-alignment. It's not as if we are a part of the Russian camp or we are a part of the American camp. We are not. We are in India's camp, and India's camp is India first. That's very clear stated policy. So as long as our interests and the American interests marry, and meet, we move forward with them. When they don't, then we have our own path. They have their own path. With Russia, it's a time-tested relationship. It's a different story. And that is why when you have, so for example, I'll give you a small example which has massive ramifications. Nuclear submarine. No country would be willing to share that kind of technology details or lease their own nuclear submarine. Russia did. And that's how we are moving forward in that direction. The S-400 system, it's held India in great stead during the recent Operation Sindoor, when a Pakistani AWACS was down 325 kilometers away in an offensive role for a defensive air defense system. That just shows how well India and Russia are tuned, and that just shows how good our Indian Air Force is. Look at with China, the message that goes out is, we want good relations with you. China wants good relations with America. It's not an anti-America or an anti-Europe bloc. Everyone wants to make money. If everyone can make money together for their countries, it's a great idea. But if anyone's going to talk down to the other person, India says that's unacceptable.
It's not an anti-America bloc. I think that's the headline that I'm taking away from what Gaurav has said. Gaurav, safe travels to you as we see you back here very soon. The Prime Minister has already taken off from China, we believe. Thanks so much for joining us and for that, round-the-clock coverage as well. Pranay is also with us. Pranay, while you look at everything that's unfolding there, and like I keep saying, what a fascinating time, really. Can we go to some of the lighter moments there as well? We saw a carpooling happening. We saw some selfies happening. We saw very strategic pull-asides while the cameras were placed happening. So, and help me understand this. Every time a pull-aside happens, or it's to a viewer, it looks like, oh, they just caught up and they shook hands. That's not the case, right? A lot of diplomacy has gone behind all of this. That who will approach, how will the handshake happen, will they sit down, that the carpool will take place. None of this is just spontaneous. All of this is scripted.
But often it happens, Sonal, that, and after having covered diplomacy for a long period of time and having witnessed these moments, there are certain raw moments as well. Even leaders are humans. They also often bound by the protocol and they want to break protocol as well. And if you can see those visuals, like, how President Xi Jinping, President Putin and Prime Minister Modi went into huddle, that even their translator found it difficult to button and how to get closer to their leaders. What are they talking about? And they shouldn't be lost in translation. There shouldn't be something, which they should miss. So those are the visuals, those are the moments, which we get to see in informal moments during the banquet, during the, when they walk the hallway. So those are the moments. And if you see closely, definitely there is a messaging. These leaders know the cameras much better than us. So they know when to pose, how to pose, what to show, what not to show. But having said that, still there are certain moments where they also show the raw, side of their personality. And if you see in the gesture, in the body language, because all this matters a lot, especially in these moments. So see, President Donald Trump, President Putin, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, see how they are talking, how close they are standing. And these are the things which one should notice, that what they must be talking about. I'm not a lip reading expert, so I can't tell you that what exactly they were discussing. But definitely the hand gestures, the kind of warmth, the proximity they are maintaining. Definitely this is something they want to give a message. And if you see this one picture today from Tianjin, of these three leaders, one Hindi caption would be most apt, especially with all pun intended to Mr. Donald Trump, that tujhe mirchi lagi to main kya karu. So that kind of thing is there because everyone has its own messaging. If you see President Xi Jinping, he wanted to show that, look, we are the alternate emerging pole. We are the one who have organized this big diplomatic event, and also 2 days after, we will be having our mighty military parade in Beijing. For that, many world leaders are coming down to Beijing. So we are the alternative new emerging pole. On the other side, President Vladimir Putin was enjoying, and he was actually enjoying this moment that the world, which on one moment of time wanted to alienate, wanted to make him untouchable, so-called international criminal
and now
court.
everybody's rushing out, reaching out to him.
To shake hands with him. And see, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also. He is having, benefit of both the worlds. On one side, he just recently went to Japan. He has been invited by the G7. So we have good relation in West as well as in East. But definitely it was East versus West.
Yeah.
So this is how one can read these visuals.
Yeah. You had a Hindi phrase. I have one for you also, Pranay.
Yeah.
Heard of that song, Mera Joota Hai Japani? And it goes on to say, Sar pe lal topi Rusi.
फिर भी
right?
दिल है हिंदुस्तानी.
फिर भी दिल है हिंदुस्तानी. I think that's the song for this SCO summit. However, China doesn't feature that. Let me just say, it doesn't
But
feature
definitely, but,
even in that
Sonal,
song. But my question is
yeah.
this, Pranay. You know, we've heard a couple of reports in the past couple of days by international papers coming out to say that there was some phone call that was trying to be, that was to be established between Donald Trump and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. That could not happen. I know the MEA has gone ahead to say that has denied this, has said that this never even took place, but the Western world has caught up to it. Is this, as of this moment, do we have any idea of how United States is responding to RIC?
Sunil, let me start my answer with the famous phrase of Lord Palmerston, who was the British Prime Minister, and who once said that there are no permanent enemies, there are no perpetual friends, there are only permanent and perpetual interests for every country. But, you know, in this context, President Donald Trump or United States also knows that this is not for the first time this RIC grouping has met. Definitely they did meet after a long period of time. And after that, like, you know, the last picture of this RIC or RIC meeting took place in December 2018 in Buenos Aires on the sidelines of the G20. After that, there was a Jai meeting. Jai meeting as in when President Donald Trump was there and Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was the Prime Minister of Japan. At that point of time, there was a meeting of US, of Japan, America and India, and that was acronymed as Jai. So now, you know, now again there is a picture of RIC. We are yet to see that how these countries want to take it forward, but definitely in terms of messaging, it is important.
All right, Pranay, we've spoken about everything that's happening diplomatically, but let's speak about some visuals which are telling a very different story, right? Now, let's look at a couple of visuals that we have taken out for our viewers. But remember the context here. Let's quickly tell that as well. Now, in a world that is split between East and West, India is walking a very tight rope, a very tight diplomatic rope. The SCO summit in China's Tianjin is witnessing a rare bonhomie, like we said, but we are also, are we missing something in between of these handshakes, in the laughs, in the hugs? Often, a body language tells us the real story of what's really going on. So we pulled out the 5 most talked about moments, the top 5 moments from SCO, and then we'll decode how it actually phased out for everybody. Let's play out video number 1. All right, so that's video number 1. In that, what do you see? It's the one that will be the headlines in your papers, will be the big picture in your papers tomorrow morning. It's what West is also capturing. It's Prime Minister Modi, President Putin, President Xi Jinping, also all of them sharing smiles. We've got a lot of finger pointing, making a point, very casual conversation as well. So what's really happening there? And I'm told we have a body language expert with us on the phone line as well to try and understand and decode this. So can I get a confirmation if we have him?
Yes, I'm there, very much there.
Oh, great, great, great to have you, sir. If you can see that first visual over there. And I just want our viewers also to take it in for a minute. They walk in, and then there are a lot of translators, of course, all around them. They're trying to understand. But it looks like for most of the time that they don't need translators. A lot of communication is happening directly as well. Is that what you are noticing here as well?
Because in this meeting, Modi ji rarely laughs that loudly in India. If you may agree with me on that, that wide laugh and the finger gestures and trying to convince Mr. Jinping of a joke. Now here, Mr. Putin is definitely taken in by the joke, and he also extends his hand, like in confirmation, and he's trying to explain the joke to Jinping through translators who bend forward. But Jinping is not, smiling. When you smile, your pupils dilate. Of course, we are seeing this picture from a little side angle,
Yeah.
and therefore we are not able to, because during the last moment of the joke, some person comes in between. So unless I'm missing that, apart from that, I don't see any much.
Lunging forward, when you're interested in a joke or something, your body moves forward. So that is missing. But as far as Mr. Modi is concerned, I think he's pulled off
Is concerned, because considering the immense strained relations with China in the recent past, especially after we came to know that they have a role in the Pahalgam attacks in financing Pakistan. So after that, to cut off this kind of body language and also be smiling, laughing, I think it's very good. But the Chinese are very sharp, strong nuts to crack. It's not so easy. And you're true that Jinping doesn't smile often. You have to see the characteristics of a person and his profile for a sufficiently long time. But if I might remind you, when during his initial days when Mr. Modi visited China, when he was at the museum and he was visiting their religious places and also inspecting the statues, feeling the textures of the soldiers, the relationship that time was very good. And even when he came to Gujarat, he was sitting on the swing and spinning the charkha. That kind of body language, if you were like to compare it with today's just short meeting, I would say there is a lot of difference for a body language expert.
Hold on to what you're saying, because I want to move in very quickly to the next video as well. And let's play that out for our viewers. Video number 2. And this one is interesting because this is the Prime Minister shaking hands with Xi Jinping and his wife. We'll immediately compare now how this handshake happened versus how it was with President Putin. So quickly, your notes first on what's happening here.
this particular picture. Mr. Modi, from a distance of 4 feet, about 4 feet, he extends his hand forward, which is again a very positive language. But the time where the handshake is there is
Seconds compared to the 13-second handshake with Putin. And here it's very formal. It's like you would do, a diplomat would do on a world stage, exchanging just polite smiles, no grinning of teeth, etc. With Putin, the thing is very different. Because when he meets
So
Mr.
Kapil,
Putin,
one second. We'll go to the Putin picture in just a minute. I want to quickly bring in Pranay as well and get his understanding. Pranay, to be honest, there were 2 handshakes that happened. This is the official one, and there was one where he met him during the bilateral, right? I found that was also very interesting. We saw the Prime Minister come out in all white, like the messenger of peace, if one can call him that. He came out in all white, he came in, he shook his hand, and while you saw the Chinese premier being very matter of fact, one could see that there was a lot of keenness to make it work from our end. Is that a fair analysis?
Definitely, Sunil. And if you have noticed that white attire, you would have also noticed the saffron pocket sheaf he was holding. So definitely, there was a different warmth. Here, what we are witnessing right now is a formal event. It's like he is welcoming all the other leaders as well. So there is a paucity of time, this is a very brief moment, and ultimately, President Putin also, President Xi Jinping also joins the banquet. So, one should not read too much into the brevity of this moment or the handshake here.
Right. Let's also move on to the next one then. And let's bring out the third video that we've picked out for our viewers today to analyze. And this is the one where Prime Minister Modi meets President Putin. Okay, there you go. Very warm, a lot of handshakes. In fact, this is not the only time they met. There is a lot that happened before, after. Look at the repeated handshake that's happening. It's firm. It's letting the world know as well. And there are smiles that go here to here. Let me bring on our guest as well to try and see how this is to be decoded. Anupam, Kapil, go ahead. What were your observations here?
pretty long handshake. It's about 13 seconds, and Mr. Modi's left foot is pointing to Mr. Putin. who's standing absolutely straight. It shows that Mr. Modi is very much interested and eager to further this friendship. He's smiling, he's excited. So I feel that Mr. Putin is looking straight, and there's not much to give away because even Mr. Putin is he's not a very expressive person. If you see what happened in Alaska with Trump, there's not much. I mean, it's very formal. These people know how to hide their.
Right. Pranay? Comparison between the handshake between Russia and China, a comparison for you?
Different gestures, but definitely there was a warmth being expressed by the host here. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who was meeting President Vladimir Putin. If you see the gesture, like he was holding President Xi Jinping's hand closer to his body. So definitely there was an eagerness, there was an attempt to show that warmth, and we have seen the hug pictures of Prime Minister Modi and President Putin as well from the SCO summit venue, and we have seen that whenever Prime Minister Modi and President Putin met, be it in Moscow, be it in any other place, be it in New Delhi, there has been a warm hug, and there was an exchange of pleasantry between both these leaders and the mutual admiration as well. But as Kapil was pointing it out, that one should not forget that he was meeting an ex-KGB agent. So President Putin knows how to conduct and how to hide his emotions as well. But here you could see him smiling, as he also mentioned during his conversation with Prime Minister Modi. That
but talking about hiding emotions, let's go to the next video where a lot of emotions did not go hidden at all. Let's play out the next video of the video and a zoom in that has been caught of the Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and his expression as he sees Prime Minister Modi and President Putin walking by. There's a zoomed in version of this picture as well that speaks 1,000 words really. But go ahead, Pranay, very quickly on what did you make of this one?
Obviously, he must be looking at what might be transpiring between President Putin and Prime Minister Narendra Modi, because whenever India-Russia comes together, you have products like BrahMos or S-400. So definitely Pakistan has many reasons to be concerned and worry about. And we have also seen those pictures where, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif walked up to, he almost like rushed to shake hands with President Putin. Also during the banquet, the way he went up to President Putin, held his hand, and he wanted to show that extra warmth to President Putin.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the last one. And this, I really want to understand, how did the diplomats react, if you have any insight, Pranay, on this one? These things don't happen randomly. Taking a random car ride with another world leader, that has to be orchestrated. I'm sure there were some conversations that happened behind the scenes here. I'm sure there was a camera placed to capture this precise moment as well. So tell me what's happening.
Sonal, let me tell you with this thing that, from my sources there, I got to learn that this happened actually impromptu. President Vladimir Putin and Prime Minister Narendra Modi were scheduled to meet in the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Tianjin, and they were supposed to go for that meeting, but President Putin decided to stay back. He waited for Prime Minister Narendra Modi for a good 10 minutes, and he offered Prime Minister Narendra Modi and said that, why don't you come with me if we are going to the same place? Then they traveled together, and that conversation was unscheduled conversation that lasted for a good 50 minutes, even after when they reached the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. Long conversation they had during in the car. And this is the Aurus car, the Russia-made car, which was given to President Putin by the Chinese side for this for his stay there, and he offered Prime Minister.
And Pranay has a fun story that the car actually that was given for Prime Minister Modi was actually made in China.